Right. Hey. So, I was interrupted yesterday when I was just trying to wrap up this material system stuff, and I was in the middle of sort of debugging, had some issues, um, and now I actually managed to get it working. So, I'm going to carry on with that. I've just been kind of cleaning up a few things, so I think I'll do a little recap now of what I have been doing, which is pretty good actually. So I got the tests working, and I have to run with some special command lines. But what happens is basically this folder of screenshots gets output, and these are all the kind of the tests, unit tests of the different um, unit tests, features in the engine that I've been going through, and some of them have been doing manually. So let's run the test and see what happens. Um, I've also been trying to debug. So here's the test running. You can't see them. Sometimes you can see them actually flicker up. This is spewing out text, but these images should have actually updated because what I was doing. Oh no, they don't look correct. Oh, that's the wrong one. So this is the one that's running on the Actions runner, which is GitHub Actions. Um, so these do run on pull request, not on a pull request, just on a commit, on a push. But they will also run on pull request. This is running on my local machine. Here's all my code repos and stuff that I'm working on. Hotline, out, target, test, output. So today I was just kind of cleaning these up. These are just the basic missing ones. They come up, they display some error messages. And then here I managed to center these a bit more nicely at the origin. So, just so it looks a bit more uniform, some more missing ones. And there we go. So that's all the ones so far. And I got that working. So that's coming along nicely. I have to run. So the reason for running on PM build test, let's bump up the old font size as usual. So in config JSN, we have the test config. It's here. We have to run with one thread. There's no capture. That actually will print out more info. There is a lot of information spewing out here, and I would like to avoid that. So one task I'm going to put on the list, actually, while I remember. Is like a lazy init print function. So instead of using just print ln throughout the code base, my idea was to have a custom macro, or maybe even a custom function to go through. And then instead of it, so you can basically initialize it to say silent mode, so it won't do anything. Nothing will get printed. I suppose you'd probably be able to do that with print anyway, but it's the other point is having a way to kind of log those messages, not just in the std out, but also have them in the potentially coming out in here in the client. So that's one thing. Another thing I'm actually working on at the moment is trying to get the D3D error messages coming out so I can intercept them, I can see them. Because they come out into here, debug console. And yesterday when I was working and streaming, when I was reloading code, I'm getting a crash, which isn't a panic. There's no error message. It seems like the application is just terminated, and I suspect potentially it's the device has been removed. but I don't know why, and I can't actually get the debugger attached to see what's going wrong. So that's a bit of a tricky situation. So I'm going to be looking at that, but just before I do so, this is now the material sample. So here is a bunch of draw calls instances being made, which have an ID inside the vertex buffer, and then their ID is looked up into a structured buffer or a bindless array of structured buffers. It's actually an array of buffers to get the world matrices. Now, there's not many of them compared to the vertex buffer instances, because I was talked about it yesterday, and the way I set out to do it was each instance has its own buffer, structured buffer for its world matrix. Now, I think that's probably going to be a bad idea, because you have to allocate a buffer on the heap for each structured, for each entity, and there is a whole management system around that, but the heap currently is a fixed size. I haven't really thought about resizing heaps and so forth, and so it just seems like you're blowing a lot of allocations. So I think having a single instance buffer where everything goes into it makes more sense. So I'm going to get to refactoring that today, but that's kind of working, you know, and so that's kind of what I was working on this week. It took longer than I thought it was going to, and there's still more to do, because obviously I want to get textures on here. I want to get normal maps and start doing lighting, but it kind of makes sense now. I have a structured buffer which is going to be for instance matrices of entities, and it's going to have a structured buffer probably which has materials inside it, and then we might have a structured buffer which contains lights, and then maybe even a structured buffer for each kind of light. But anyway, the amount of structured buffers I think will be more granular, and we'll just have an array of those, and they can be generated each frame or populated each frame. So that kind of makes it easier to deal with for now. As time goes on in the future, maybe you don't want to update every entity every frame. If some things don't update, then you don't want to update them, but there starts to become difficulties with managing in-flight frames and updated frames. So that's things to think about, but for now it's all right. So I was just in the middle of looking in D3D, trying to register a D3D info queue callback. Now you can do that on InfoQ1, but I don't know how to get it. I can't query the interface to get myself InfoQ1, and that's kind of causing me a bit of trouble. I don't know what combination of things. So I was trying different D3D version feature levels and so forth, to no avail. So what this does provide, let's see, D3D info Q version. I'm not even using it now. Let's pull this down. I can't remember what it was called. Debug version. Okay, it's gone. I had the little bit of code, but I deleted it in the hopes of doing it in a different way. Okay, so that's fine. So the plan is to go into GFX RS, and on the device trait, here's a device On a device trait, there is this report live objects, which that's a kind of debuggy function. So what I wanted to do is add a new function on here, which is fn get info queue. So the idea will be on a device we can ask for the info queue, and it's on a self. I don't think it needs to be mutable, and this can return me a vec of string, which is just going to be messages, and then I can do stuff with them. So I can print them. Oh my god. I could print them into std out, so they come in here, or I could print them to somewhere else, so they come in here. And that's going to be handy, I think. Retrieve the messages in the info queue. Let's do the last drained. So initially I wanted to be able to use info queue D3D12 info queue1, which has this callback function. Don't know if I've still got open. Here it is, D3D info queue1. You can register a message callback, and I wanted to just register the callback and then just forward the message through every single time. But I can't query the interface. It says no such interface exists. I don't know if it's my GPU or the version level. I can't query, actually, I'm not able to obtain a D3D12 device. So that has mesh shaders, and I am on a fairly old GPU. So that could be it. If anyone watches this and you know about that, please let me know. These sort of things, I just find it hard to search for, info or even examples of people using it. I found some vague mention of it, the initial blog post that announced the feature, but it doesn't really help. So I'm going to move this one to, these are like report live objects. I don't know why. Get shader heap, view back. Put these at the end, these debug ones. And then these are kind of just, I can't remember what it is, self type methods that don't need an instance, but these ones need an instance, and these are kind of debug info. So I go to here, report live object, and then we'll do that. So let info queue, and it's the same kind of thing, which is, I quite like this on C++. You have to call device query interface, and you pass this stuff in. This is quite nice, doing this sort of typecasting. D3D12 info queue. I think, should it be? Yeah, I may as well bubble the error through if no such interface exists. And that's, this one also is a result. Super error, I probably should type those, but I was quite strict about using the super when I first did it, because that did really confuse me with Rust, with super and what it all meant. So sort of being quite explicit when using super. And Windows also uses it quite a lot if you look at the Windows RS code, but I suppose I think a lot of that's auto-generated. Right. So we've got a D3D12 info queue. I assume these are going to be unsafe functions. We can go info queue. We can add message, retrieval, filter, break on severity, get message. So I think what I'm wondering is this going to work? Oh. And then I need to well, I need to get some debug messages viewing out as well to be able to see this. I think report live objects actually is our info queue messages because they do come out in the console. So I might use that to my advantage. So I'm going to just call this for now. And then what if I manage to if I manage to get to the point where I know there's messages in the queue I can consume, then that would be cool. So we can return output. So make a vec new, yeah, output. We can return output. We don't need the parenthesis. Okay. Get info queue. I think I might call it messages. Get info queue messages. Get info queue messages. Cool. Well, and I think if I use report live object, so that code now was in the client, so I need to exit and rebuild. These are unused. Right, I'm back. So now in the live client, there was one small brief period of time where everything was really stable and working. And I'm even thinking now where I wanted to put this code. I suppose I can do it in one of these. So the render function, we are inside. We have a device that I can use, and what we're going to call this render meshes material. Not what function is this called? Render meshes vertex buffer instanced. Here we go. Right, this is our function. And this only gets called once per frame. So device or live object. Oh no, what I'm gonna do is go device get info queue messages. We should print something out. It might be 0 because there aren't any errors yet. here we go. Info queue count is 0, which is to be expected, I think. And then so if I go device, report live objects, which does print some information out. This is the crash I'm talking about. It just says this error running client. It doesn't say panic. It doesn't give me run with backtrace to find out the problem. And I don't know what it is. If I run now, typically what happens is it's not a permanent problem. It goes away between sessions. But the instability is, you know, it's not very nice. And okay, info queue counts 1024. So there are messages in there. And that's like, is that every frame? So this has given me confidence. And what I'm going to do then is I'll forward those messages, get info queue messages. Well, do we return them? Oh my god, this stupid thing, Rust Analyzer not working inside the plugins, driving me mad. Get info queue messages. So we know the info queue count. We can get them and we could print them out. And we could also forward them on. I think the best place to put this is inside PMFX. So for I in 0 to count. So info queue spelled incorrectly. Get message. Right, it takes a message index, which is going to be I as U64, but it's already a U64, so that's fine. Get a message. Get message. It is P message is an option to a mut D3D12 message, and P message byte length is a mut usize. Okay, let mut usize equals 0. No, that mut size. It will know the type, and then this is unmut size, and then P message is an option to a D3D message inside. What's a D3D12 message? Is that it? Is that it? Ooh, okay. It has info. P description. We have one of them. Description byte length. What do you think that is? Message byte length. It must be the size of the struct, right? Now, I'm just going to quickly check. There are other places. I think it's like create buffer. So buff is an option of a resource, and it starts as none, and then you pass that in. Where does buff go? It's in buff at the end. I'm just looking at the reference of something else that has this kind of strange passing convention. Usually in D3D, what you would do is pass a think you pass a pointer to a pointer, and it might give you back a null pointer, or it will give you back an allocated resource. And this does it by passing an option to mut, but a mutable option. But I think it's slightly different because this is a pointer to an option with the type, and the other one is an option. So I'm going to say let, I need to initialize this as well, which is not ideal. D3D12. Like this stuff is it's quite tricky because it's not very well described even for C++ Direct3D. And then trying to do it with Windows RS is kind of another layer of difficulty. Okay, that's fine. We can use the default, which is for most Windows things, I think default is initialized to 0. And then if we take an unmut to the message inside, oh, that was the wrong thing. This is I, and this is P message. Oh, lost my, come on. Oh, well, it's not the, come on. Oh, it worked. There's that with the Rust analyzer, I have this 1 second pause where I'm like, has it worked? And it happens a lot. I'm like, oh, is that it? Is Borochecker going to complain? And we have a result, so we can just, and the more I get in the habit of propagating results, it's really nice. I really like it. And I'm not a very error handling kind of guy in my past. I'm just like assert and we'll fix it and we'll move on. Okay. So now we can get the message. Now we need to unpack. So the unmessage is inside. Has that moved it? ID, severity, description, byte length. Let's see what they are. Message ID is an I32. So now I just want the message itself, I think, just for quickness, and I'll see how it looks. P description. So I've got a const U8. Trying to think, what are they called? C string API. So I can create a new one that's actually going the other way. Null terminated semantics. Trying to think what else I'm using this in. Adapter. I think when we get adapter info, string, we read stuff. Description. It's difficult because everything's quite different. Like in this implementation, and that's why I'm always sort of jumping around to try and sort of scrabble together like how should I do this stuff. Map collect. So that's doing a UTF-16 conversion from. See, this is adapter desk, and it's a U16, a fixed size array of 128 of U16s. My stuff I was looking at then was like a kind of traditional pointer to, just a pointer to a char, const U8. Now, what does that decode? UTS-16, STD char. Maybe I do a decode UTF-8. No, don't know how to do it. Maybe in the Win32 API I might have some stuff. Again, as I've been doing, I'm trying to do this without just, Googling stuff all the time. So we've got string to wide, wide to string, not useful. That's that kind of decode UTF-8 stuff I'm doing. I think it is. Decode UTF-8. Oh yeah, it has got decode UTF-8. Encode UTF-8. String handling is a complicated old business in Rust for sure. With paths as well, I've got strings and paths, path buffs, and references to strings and unstrs and static unstrs. You tie yourself in knots sort of thinking about what to use, and sometimes I just go, right, this is taking too long, I'm just gonna have to do something to kind of get the ball rolling. I think you might be able to construct a string from a pointer to a slice. Probably not very interesting watching me try to figure out how to do a string. Let's equal this. It's not going to work. Yeah, then there's this one, cow, as well. That's a string thing. I think you can make, I'm going to make an array. A vec, maybe. Of, not, this probably isn't going to be the best way to do it. Chars equals vec new. Okay, and then we can go for char in message. Oops, come on. Description byte length. So then we push in a byte per. So much information, like look at that. Look at how much real estate on the screen is taken up by these messages. So, oh, cat creaking through my door. Description, offset or add. We're a pointer on a deref that. Now we've got a U8. Oh. And a mut. Right. I could probably transmute that to a slice. Instead of doing it one by one. Oh, we don't like this. So it doesn't, we can't construct. I'm going to have to search for this very quickly. Rust string slice U8. From UTF-8, right. This std stir from UTF-8. And probably a bunch of unwraps and other crap. What does that make? This is technically stir. It's an unstir or an error. Now it's a stir. This one. I haven't. I haven't implemented the kind of error conversion for that one. What is the actual error? May as well do that while I'm here. UTF-8 error. No. Lib. None of those ones actually. Lib. Here we go. Here I've got a bunch of like, I think these could be done with generics. From see all of them have message from, what was it called? UTF-8 error. Oop. That is the type. I feel like this could be just done with generics, but I don't know if I can do it. T for error. T. A to string is a trait. Input T from T for that. Where key to string. Okay, cool. Let's see. This might just simplify this whole process. No. From null error. Where is that? Oh my god. Your message is so big. Here we go. GFX 1306. One three oh six. This one. Hold on. I'll just comment it out for now. So kind of when I started this, I didn't really, generics were quite new to me, and then I did a mathlib, which was all generic, and then Windows core error, which is in give it a link to where the other one is, and that's the same. It's the same one, and it's Windows, and I don't need that Windows one anymore, which is quite nice. If this works, then yeah, I did a mathlib, and then kind of all of the where clause and all of that kind of started to make sense, and I quite like it. Quite different to what I initially thought. Generics was always like templates, but they're quite different to templates, and I haven't really ever done generics in other languages. Like I think maybe C# has them. Okay, cool. Well, it compiles, and then we can get rid of this and get rid of all of those, and then now it means any error, any now errors, which obviously are to string, then, and they should have that already, I can nicely just automatically get them. I don't have to do this jumping around adding a little thing. So okay, fix my warnings. Okay, here we go, more warnings, stir, but we've got that, and now we've propagated this correctly, and then I can push this into the output, push, stir to string. Cool. Right, so that actually does this, get info queue messages. Now what I'm going to do is just once a frame, maybe in the client actually, client, present, right, so I'm just going to do this basically, get self dot device get info queue messages, info queue, and for the time being So for now, oh, we can bubble that through. Message. So print just 3D and debug info messages. And then in the plugins where I just was, maybe I'll just move. I'll put that there because I can take it out in hot reloading. Cool. This has been a long time thing on my list of just work to do to make it a bit more user friendly, because I've been having to, if something goes really wrong, it can be quite confusing what's happening, and you're not seeing the D3D validation errors. The parameter is incorrect. Well, thanks. That's going to be here, right? It's definitely going to be there. Maybe we get a D3D error about that before we've even got them out of the queue. So this is what I've been having to do. Oh, it crashes if I try and run the plugin as normal, the client as normal. I'm going to have to go in debug. I have to step into these functions. We don't have any messages to begin with, so as of yet, no messages. Let's wait till we get inside that inner loop. Here we go. Like, how can anyone work like this? I don't want that thing open. Stop opening it. It's just obnoxious. Right. Message initialized to null. And there we go. So here's all the messages, the live objects. And there is no further terminal. Where am I? The parameter is incorrect. The parameter is incorrect. Which one, mate? Very helpful. Right. So now this is definitely something I might have to consult the docs for. ID3. ID3D12 info queue get message. P message in out optional. Oh, here, there's some docs for it. We have to malloc it. And it passes back the message length. We malloc. Get message. Ah. Okay, so what they do they pass in 0 is none. And this gets you the size. Now, what I'm wondering if basically we could do panic or assert that size is equal to mem size of D3D12 message. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case. Or maybe it will if it's repo C. So then you pass in the size of the message again. Right, well, I'm going to go, let's run this. Should call it twice. And we can actually do that outside of the loop, but I'll sort that out once I get it working. Here we go. Right, well, that wasn't true. Could have told us what the sizes are. Right, should have put that in the message. Assert. Does it do a message like this? I don't know. Yeah. I think you can do that. So let's go size and this. So there, what do I do? Then I've got to allocate some memory, pass it in, transmute it maybe. Or feels very unsafe. Right, okay. Come on. Oh, it's not going to work, is it? So I can 87 versus 32. Well, how's that going to work? Oh, I see. The message, it must be putting the message on. So, oh no. We get message with 0. Then we transmute it. Pointer. So my message is not big enough. So that's for sure. Right, one sec. I'm just going to go and get a beer because it is 6:30 on Friday. Right, mate. Right. Cool. Ah, wild Friday night. Implementing D3D12 message queue. This is my life now. Right. So I need to clearly allocate more memory. Maybe behind the scenes it needs a bit of extra memory to store the message. Or do we need to request the message size like this? I'm just trying to think of some places where I'm doing examples where I'm allocating memory, and ImGUI is doing some. Alloc. We do from size align, alloc zeroed with a layout. Just want to alloc some plain old memory. We can alloc with a layout. Well, got some ideas of how to do that. So we do std mem alloc. What's that one called? Std alloc. Oh, we do have a. Oh no, we need a layout. What is new U16? Just want memory, mate. Why can't it just have a regular old alloc? I've got to make a layout. Layout new. Right. Let layout equals. Even then, I've forgotten already how to do it. New. And then it's a type. Like this, right? U8 of size, right? Let's see std alloc layout. Come on, let me do it. No. So I can't do that. It can't be known at compile time. Size. From size alignment. The size is size. Alignment, I don't really care. I'm going to do 4 bytes aligned. No. Why is everything so difficult? I just want to allocate some memory. Size align. Now I'm going to have to go on the internet to find out how to just allocate some bytes. New, the value, the raw value, dangling. What else do we have? STD layout, line 2, array. Font size align. Is that what it said? I couldn't do that before. Okay, that's fine. Oh, okay, brilliant. Right, phew. Oh, it's let data equals this. We're not using that. So that's not going to ever work, but we can do layout size. Come on. Well, I think size less than or equal to. I think I'm going to go with. Rust might add some padding. Right. What's this? Data is a mut u8 pointer. Then we can do some data as a mut D3D12 message. Okay. So now we get to the other side where I'm going to have to transmute the data into the message. Now we're not using message anymore here. This is bloody complicated. It better be worth it. If this doesn't catch the crash, I go through all of this effort, then, well, if it does report the messages, it's still a useful feature, but I could be working on something a bit more enjoyable. Well, not enjoyable, but a bit more visual, satisfying. Okay. Let message equals unsafe bd mem. Can we do cast? Ooh. This is working. Ooh. Well, that one can go away. Come on. Let's see. Is it going to work? crazy. What a crazy Friday night. This is going to be mental if this works. Oh, look at this. Get in. It's working. It's spewing them out. Let's pause this. Oh, God. We're at quite the deficit. So, yeah, of course, this is a problem in general. Look at that. That is a lot of messages. I've completely paused the client and the STD out is still struggling. Or might it still be hitting it every frame? But anyway, this is fantastic. You know, I've got the messages. I've got the ability now to debug things a little bit better. It does spew 2048, no, 1024 messages I think it had in a frame. I don't know if I've got to drain this queue, so well, anyway, now what I'm going to do is just quickly take that out. Lib easiest demos. Here we were. Get rid of this div report live objects, and well, that was cool. I'm happy with that. Ooh, let's just think about something. When we do an alloc, what do we do to the memory afterwards? Do we call free? I can't remember. We might be leaking memory. New monitors. What do we manually call drop? Drop STD pointer, drop in place. I think this is it. So we push it on. We've already turned it into a thing. Well, that was pretty good. I'm happy with that. That's probably one of the most competent bits of coding I've managed to muster on this stream. I mean, I'm doing this kind of stuff all the time, but some of the stream stuff I've done is just sort of me bungling around and not actually making much progress. Okay, so now here, this was a problem. Let's see, I was messing around before. Draw push constants texture. Let's do a few reloads and see if I can get it to trigger the crash that I was seeing and see if the debug output is going to display anything. Let's see what I was doing. What was I doing? I had the draw demos. Just draw. Draw material. No, it's draw. Push constants texture. These were the ones I was sort of messing around with a bit. Actually, that was a good point. I was sort of working out this so they were more nicely aligned. There was a slight miscalculation in my code. So I might just propagate that through to the other places. Tests. They were the ones. which I corrected them and I got them to appear. Oh no, the wrong tests. There's two. There's ECS tests and there's kind of core tests. I think this is the best way to calculate that. What was this? So the raster test. Right, so we're still going. Raster tests. Oh, it crashed and it didn't give me any info. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. If I run it again and I change to test raster states, it's working. So it's not a D3D problem. It's a problem with the hot reloading, something like that. Needless to say, it's extremely annoying. And I've had a few sessions where I have been solidly able to, you know, reload. Half extent, these ones, what are these? Blend tests. The blend tests, what we're gonna say? It's like the first hot reload seems fine, always. It's like the second time, I got that one even changing. Maybe if I can if I can get a good repro for it, maybe it's a hot reload, then a change in sample. No. So that one's fine. They're nice and centered. Probably should add some extra blend tests just to round that one out. What else do we have? The cube maps as well. Test blend states. Test cube maps. There is a crash hot reloading the other plugin, which is the ECS, because the IDs of the resources from Bevy change and that panics. So like the panics are fine. I'm happy with that. I know where I stand. I know what it's doing. I know where the problem lies. And like pretty much on the most part, Rust has been like that. You know, you can panic and you can hit something, but you know where you stand. You're not getting this weird, like, undefined behavior. And I'm getting undefined behavior. It's like probably it isn't unsafe. It's probably inside unsafe code, and because I have a fair bit of it, you know, I'm trying to abstract that away, so I'm bearing the brunt of it. But it's not nice when you get used to kind of having stability and yes. Right, cube maps. Let's check the cube map sample. There they go, the cube map samples. 2D array, texture 3D. There's and sign distance fields. Right. Well, let's do another hot reload. Not crashing. So that's the annoying thing. You know, it's just not possible to get a good repro of it, but it happens more frequently than you think because of that. So it's not happened for a little while now. I've done a few, but in the course of coding and sessions, you hit it often. Luckily, at the moment, it's quick. I can boot back up. I can get back in. It's fine. I think I've seen it happening with hot reloading shaders. But I was trying to do that before and I was doing loads and it wasn't happening. Or even just changing these samples. Oh, I know. I had this set up. See, like this isn't crashing. That was one problem yesterday. So now maybe I'll go into this in a bit more detail. When basically I got to the point where Cube was working, being looked up from the structured buffer from indices inside the vertex buffer instances to kind of, you know, do an indirection, look up the structured buffer, look up your world matrix. I got that working, but everything was in one position, and it's because I was cloning the heap because of a double borrow issue. So what was it? Create buffer with heap in here, right? So this was the problem. Create buffer with heap. You've got to take a mutable self. Or do you? I think you do. And you have to take a heap. And the heap is actually a member of self because we can do create buffer with heap or create buffer. And that uses the devices heap. So I had to do this in other places. It's a bit fiddly or not ideal. Let's go to shader heap. Shader heap had to become optional because heap can't be a default because of the underlying types inside it, which are a D3D12 descriptor heap, essentially. We can clone, but we can't default. I can't derive default. And so there you want to do, we do memtake, and that swaps it essentially with the default value, and then it assigns it back only in this place. So the memtake I found kind of a nice pattern in a way to like take things and put them back, but having the kind of defaults is also problematic in some cases. So I had to make that all the heap optional and move it around, but then you can swap the option with none. I think that kind of works all right. So I don't know what can cause a program to just terminate with no problem, with no like messages or anything. I wonder, I might put some more debug info. I'm just seeing if there was any tasks in. These ones in client terminal log. Right, that's fine for the time being. I've got them now. And even just spewing out the console messages into the STD out, I will see them. I might move them into a UI later, but for now, I'm fairly happy with that. So let's see. Lazy init printf function, minimize shader duplication. I think I'll work on those. I think I'll get back to the structured buffer. I'm not going to do structured buffer instances. Actually, I'm working on the material system. And well, I am kind of working on that now at the moment, actually. They're just working a little bit different. Persistent map buffers, create texture with heap. I was just talking about that then. That will require the same old std mem take the shader heap, pass it into the function. C buffer camera. I think that'll come further down the line. Texture with heap was the idea was basically from a higher level, I'd be able to control a bit more granularity of what's in the heap, and during rebuilds be able to kind of reallocate resources and maybe, you know, sort of recreate things if we have to. But structured buffer instances, let's get back to it. So I run this now. It's quite easy to blow the heap and run out of, you know, instances. So if I up the instance count, I'll eventually run out of space. But if I make a large buffer, it seems like a waste to basically have a buffer per entity. So the next objective here would be to get loads more of these guys. Then after that, get them a texture on them. Then after that, we're going to get normal maps and normals kind of properly transformed. And then, or maybe I'll add those in. C buffer camera. I'm not sure if I need a C buffer camera right now. You know, you have to find it might not be that much work, actually. And would it be a C buffer array? I'm trying to think of what other things might be C buffer worthy. If it's materials, you might have loads. You're going to maybe have jumping around, kind of random access into your structured buffers if you're indexing per pixel. Certainly with material IDs, you might be looking at them per pixel. So you're going to be jumping around your structure buffers, and the same for your lights. And then you got camera constants, or, you know, along with camera constants, you might have the dimensions of your buffers, like your your render target dimensions, or those kind of constants for the view, essentially. And maybe some parameters for the path. But yeah, I suppose maybe it would grow beyond. I'm trying to think what the size is. I think you can get about, it's maybe about 4x4 matrices into push constants. What would that be? 16 32-bit constants per matrix. 16 times 4. What is it? 68? I don't know. 40. 64, of course. What am I on about? So we'll think about that when the kind of the need arises. At the moment, I don't need any other values. I've got a camera matrix and I've got these guys. So let's try and get loads of instances working. No, actually, I know one quick thing. I'm going to fix this little counter. We go around. How do we get it to happen? There we go. It starts spilling over. I'm just going to fix that because I think it's going to become more necessary to not necessarily profile. At this point, I'm just going to get everything working. I'll look at things in more detail with a profiler, but I think it's useful to have some metrics that are usable just to kind of look at the difference in performance between vertex buffer instancing and structured buffer instancing, for instance. Tell you what, even just having like a small beer and trying to do coding and just talk incessantly takes a cognitive load, I'm telling you. And then the crazy thing, I'm pretty much just talking to myself at this point, you know. So definitely insane. Hey, I am gonna have to get food shortly, but I think I'll jump back on. Um, See, the thing is, I made changes in here the other day, and no, I'm not even doing them. I think they started to introduce the crash. Or maybe it was always there and I never noticed it. Hold up, let's see what I was doing. Yesterday, commits. Maybe I have to do a bisect to kind of get it. Okay, let's see these changes. Index buffer, structured buffer. VFX RS. PMFX RS maybe. Have changes to it. And draw. This one's better. Here we go. I added all of this commented out code to do crashing. Ooh. Stats. Oh no. That was crashing. I added the comment, but I think this was what was actually causing the crash. Or maybe if I fix this issue, which is kind of related to that to do crashing code, then maybe oh, we've got stats start and stats end. See, these ones again, it's the pattern is like remove the thing from the vector, mutate it, and then put it back in the vector. And we start, we reset only ones that are in the execute order. That's actually badly named now. I'm gonna rename this symbol to, this is command Q. Let's go to stats end. To crashing set markers. So whenever you got a to-do crashing, that might be a little helper from a ghost of Christmas past, maybe. Let's go. Taking out the stats completely. Can I get it to crash? I hate these unreliable repo issues. I'm gonna stick around 20 minutes and then grab some food. Right. Draw material, right. I've just got to do some messing around. ECS demos. So one thing about the heap, blowing the heap before, nothing is being cleaned up properly. Like things get dropped, but their allocated heap resource still exists. Discussed this before in a blog post about there is a function on on the graphics device where you can give it a texture and it will hold on to it and it will wait till it's safe to drop that, and it will drop it and it will also deallocate it from the heap. But that's going to be a quite difficult problem. It's just that drop can happen at any time. So then, you know, in C++, I'd go, oh, well, we could just have a static and then we could kind of access that, a singleton. It sort of really goes against Rust, and it makes it quite difficult to manage these sort of things. I think, you know, you could have ref counted stuff where, you know, you could use an RC or an arc where every texture and everything, and it has a reference in the command buffer, and then it can deallocate the reference. But then I just thought that's like kind of quite a lot of overkill implemented in the back end to manage it, and that, you know, it would be nicer to not have that. Certainly not in the low-level D3D implementation, but maybe in the slightly higher level PMFX implementation, something that like that might be necessary. So that's kind of where I'm at now, really. Let's reduce the number of these, but this is going to allocate a bunch more stuff into the heap. Stats start, stats end. So one reload, we didn't crash. There was a crash. Didn't take long. I mean, that is pretty pitiful. So not to do with these guys. Stats start, stats end. So that means these ones I can put them back, and they aren't crashing anymore. Well, they did crash for another reason, but for node in command queue. I know what it is. So we start and stop the stats, but then we gather the results somewhere. View stats, view stats, view stats, view stats, view stats. New frame. Gather stats. Okay. This check we do somewhere else. Stats start. View stats. Stats end. So we only want to gather results. Gather stats. I'm going to make that a function because it's become worthy of it, I think. At the moment, it's just internal. Gather stats. Stats. Do we need a device? Device read pipeline statistics. So pass this guy through. Grab all of that. What's stats in view stats? Command view, command queue contains stats. Oh, it needs a swap chain as well. Annoying. Render stats. I'm just gonna. Okay. Gather stats. Gather stats. Gather stats. Obtain So yeah, we stick a marker. I haven't actually got these things. Maybe I should make these into a nicer UI, because I've got the pipeline statistics, which give you the number of draw calls and vertex shader invocations and pixel shader invocations and all of these details. Stats are values. Need to go in name stats. I am really terrible at typing. In mut. So GPU's at 2 ms. It actually doesn't account for ImGUI at the moment. So, and then I wanted to add some more primitives as well, but it seems like at least that bug is fixed, so that's quite nice. Mark that off the to-do list. Fixed GPU time inconsistency. Done. Right, so I've done a few bits. I'm getting pretty hungry now, so I might call it a day. 1 hour 40. That's kind of around the time that I feel like I've managed to make some progress, but also I'm quite knackered, you know. I need to take a break, which is a good sign, because if I'm not doing this, I can actually just keep going for ages, and I'll just be like, I don't know, probably still the same level of fatigue, but I don't notice it so much. Probably because I'll just sit there not really doing that much. I'll just be kind of like, I'll just sit at the computer and sort of keep banging my head against this problem. UVs need flipping on geom. That's something I might do. Lazy init print function. I might do those few bits off screen, kind of a bit of tidying up. And then I'll continue on with the old test material, draw material. Let's see, draw material. Let's see if I can just get it to crash just for fun. Come on. I have to make any changes. Nope, that one was still. Oh no. Okay, come on. I don't know what it could be. I reckon it could be to do with the hot reloading system, like loading the library and something going wrong during that. But there, that was fine. Let's do a little check test. What was it? The original attempt of this, I passed through this color to the shader, but the material, I was trying to do a fixed color of green. Let's do that. Does this still work? Changes detected. Done. Easy. I swear I've had it happen with hot reloading. It could have been that I had multiple things edited. No, this shaders seem robust. Sooner than I would hope with what I actually wanted it to be. Right, that's it, going to be it for now. Okay, bye.